Hey guys, sorry I haven't been posting for a while, but today I'll be continuing on with the how to draw series, and today we'll be drawing an eye. So I just wanted to mention that I got this book off Amazon, and I'll leave the link down in the description box. So to draw an eye, it's actually very simple. There's just like two shapes that I prefer to use as a guideline, and that's the parallelogram and the sideways oval. I recommend starting with the parallelogram if you're a new person or like you're revising, because it's like the most simplest way and it's like the most best way to like start drawing, because like pretty much all the guidelines for drawing whatever parts of the eye are there. So we're going to start with the tear duct, and we're going to start from the bottom left corner and make sure to curve the line towards the midpoint of the parallel line, like explained. And now start making a tear duct. Create the waterline part of the eye and make sure the tear duct is like a V shape, and then continue drawing a curved line to the midpoint as shown. Now for the iris, it's basically a normal eye, like that's not some surprise, but I like to enlarge in the eyeball, like so the iris would be enlarged into the eyeball, not the eyeball. So I'm just fixing the outer end of the eye so like I could make a better eyeliner and it looked more better, but this is like an optional, like you don't need to adjust it. If you want like to look slick, then you could adjust it. So I'm just going to be finishing the iris. I like to shade towards the bottom lightly and work my ways upwards with darker tones. So like I'm just shading the whole thing because it's much more easier to layer graphite. And then I like start shading around the iris, and then I start working my way darkwards into the center, but you could do the other way as I mentioned previously. You could also use a brush to help blend the graphite. You could also use a cotton swab, which I'll be showing later on. And you could always layer more graphite. I layered more graphite in the lower part because I felt like the eye I was going for had just that darkness at the bottom, so I decided to leave it at the bottom, but you could do it vice versa as well. And I personally don't recommend blending with your hands because it just smudges and most of the graphite sticks to your hands, so like nothing's really blending, but like it's your choice. For the highlights, it kind of really depends like on the environment. So like if the person's right in front of a window, they're gonna get more highlights, and if they're like in a dark place, they're gonna get really little highlights. And I use an eraser to randomize the highlights, sometimes even a normal other eraser. But you could also use like a what is it called? I'm trying to remember in the top of my head. Oh yeah, a kneaded eraser, or like those electric erasers. Those work as well. You can even use the point of a normal eraser, or you can even use the pencil's eraser. It doesn't matter. All are erasers and they do the same purpose. Now it's optional, but I'll be adding eyeliner since this is a female eye and I love eyeliner so much. In fact, I might do a makeup video soon, so stay tuned for that. Just gonna make sure it's just like a pinky length that goes outwards, but you could extend it to your desirements. And I like to start thin from the eyeliner, like from the tear duct, to thick from the wing, so it's like much more better, and like, you know, it's your personalized choice. Other people have certain ways of drawing eyeliner, and I prefer drawing eyeliner like this. There's also different styles of eyeliner, so it kind of varies on what type of eyeliner style you're trying to do. Now the eyeball looks really pretty, but we need to give the eyeball a 3D look. So we're gonna start shading the line, like the eyeball, the upper part, to give like a little 3D-ness look. Just gonna blend it a little bit. You don't need to like Well, if you want, you don't even need to draw that part. You could just use the remaining graphite on the brush that's sticking to it and just like brush over that area a little bit, just like I showed. Now the most realistic part of an eye is the eye bags, and I don't know if anyone knows that, but like every single person has eye bags. Like no one does not have eye bags. So we're gonna just draw that. Make sure you just kind of like branch little lines underneath the tear duct and slightly work towards the middle, and then you like kind of reach it to the ends, but make sure to like kind of branch it. And same with the upper eyelid, but don't connect the lines near the middle of the thing. You're gonna want to shade. You could use the remaining graphite already on it, on the brush. We're gonna leave the middle parts for the highlights. Like you could blend a little bit towards the highlights, so it's like not such a rough look. It's more smooth into transitioning. To draw eyelashes, I kind of have struggles already, but I'm gonna try my bestest on this. So we're gonna make sure the lashes come from inside the eyeball and it comes out like how I showed. Some eyelashes do come out from the waterline. So a technique I thought is that we're gonna triple the eyelashes into the shape of an isosceles triangle. And sorry about the math, but I really need to it's like the only way I could describe. And that's how you draw a female eye. And male eyes aren't much different. Stereotypically, males don't wear eyeliner, but it's totally up to you. And yeah. Now we're just gonna use this sideways oval for the male eye. You could use the oval for a female eye. I don't want to like stereotype. You have to use this guideline for this eye, like this gender. You could use whichever one, like guidelines you want. I just did it because I already used the other one. Now the steps are pretty simple. You're just gonna draw the tear duct, little shape, eye shape. You're gonna draw the iris button towards the bottom, shade it up to the top. You could also use the cotton swab. Here I'm using it. And also just a little piece of advice. I know influencers are very intimidating with new, really aesthetic art supplies, and you don't actually need that. You could literally just go in with dirt and a rock or whatever. You don't need like electric erasers or like that. So I just wanted to show with that needed eraser for the highlights, but whatever you have is much more better. Now I'll make sure to erase the guidelines so we can have a better picture of what we're working with. I'm also going to change the tear duct a little bit for a better look, but that's also completely optional and it's more on your preferences. Now we're going to use the cotton swab that already has a lot of graphite stuck into it. It would look kind of like grayish, and we're just going to make that to have a 3D eye by shading the upper part of the eyeball. Now repeat the same steps for the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. A tip to memorize is just remember fractions. There's 3 parts to a fraction. The first part is going to be blank. The first part is going to be shaded. The second is basically the highlight, and the third part is going to be shaded as well. We're going to draw eyelashes again. We're going to use that isosceles triangle look. If you guys don't know what an isosceles triangle is, it's basically a triangle that's 2 upper sides have like equal length, and the bottom one is just different. So here it seems like I have put a lot of lashes, which I kind of think it looks neat because I usually don't put a lot of lashes, but like, it's your preference. Now let's practice drawing eyes with your guidelines. I literally forgot to use the guidelines because I'm really used to not using them at all, so I didn't do it. But if it's like a portrait or like something very, very top-notch important, like secret important, then I'll use guidelines, like especially for drawing realistic people. And in this clip, my head was blocking it. did not look good, so I had to clear it out. And just a little thing, without practice, you're never gonna be able to do that. And I know that's a major put down, but without practicing, you won't be able to do that thing because you're replenishing your skill to like be able to improve yourself. You're just like constantly just trying, but you don't know how to do it properly because you're not practicing, so you can't get better at it. So that's a little tip there. So here's my finished drawing practice. It's a little bad, like a main character person, but it's not a big deal. Thanks, don't forget to subscribe as well.